Hey, what's up? It's Bill Smith. How you doing? I did a couple of videos about the Keystone, so I just kind of want to get all the information out there so that people can kind of start to knock down some stuff. I think it gets kind of confusing though because sometimes the same thing points in multiple different directions, and there's valid stuff to look at when you go in those other directions. So I've thought about this. I think the whole purpose of what we're doing is just to talk about it, keep the conversation up, get more people involved in the conversation, coworkers, family members, friends you haven't talked to in a while. I mean, I think this stuff is cool to talk about. There's a lot of fun things here. So this is somebody talking about the Keystone. So I've already covered it. The Keystone. It's a service level Google app. It's embedded in most operating systems, including Apple, Microsoft. I think it's a lot, and even Linux stuff. There's other programs tied into it. It's used in several different hacking tools for the CIA. So there's a lot of stuff over there that links up. The Keystone was also used in another video I covered with you. There's a very, very I guess detailed. There's a code that someone has mapped out. So I've covered that in another video too. So go check those out. But this is the third one. It's the Senior Executive Service, the SES, Lead America's Workforce. As the keystone of the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978, the SES was established to, quote, ensure that the executive management of the government of the United States is responsive to the needs, policies, and goals of the nation and otherwise is of the highest quality, unquote. These leaders possess well-honed executive skills and share a broad perspective on government and a public service commitment that is grounded in the Constitution. So this actually comes from a website. It's opm.gov. Policy Data Oversight Senior Executive Service. Leading America's Workforce. So maybe, U.S. Office of Personnel Management. We make a big deal out of the military. And I mean, that's kind of like the fun stuff. It really kind of ignites something in you, it just does. But I think something that people often overlook is how important the legal system is. Having a large network of lawyers, people who know the law, can prosecute, are good at it, not just investigative, but are good at operating inside of the courts. I mean, there's laws that get turned over just on 2 words sometimes, so it's easy to overlook that. So this kind of points out all the Q posts that were related to it. I've covered this before, but news unlocks the message, find the keystone, expand your thinking, take multiple paths, one connects to another, learn to read the map. So these are honestly things that there's no way. It's you can make such a good case for so many different angles on the same post sometimes, and then other times they come out and they specify it later, or you see the news and then it totally makes sense what they said a few weeks before. It's like Nostradamus stuff, sometimes. But then you get into the follow the bloodlines. What is the keystone? Does Satan exist? You're talking about the Illuminati stuff there. Does the thought of Satan exist? Who worships Satan? What is a cult? Epstein Island? We know most of that stuff, When does a map become a guide? What is a keystone? Everything stated is relevant. Everything. Future provides past. POTUS opened the door of all doors. So was this the door of all doors? Whatever this was. The thing I find odd is that it was established in 1978. I would think that's well after corruption pretty much, put the stranglehold on, but maybe not, Expand your thinking. What is the keystone? Wealth over generations buys power. Power over generations buys more wealth and control. More wealth and control buys countries and its people. And families combined, that's the triangle. Could also mean the trilateral commission, maybe. But it's probably the triangle that we've discussed before. That equals the New World Order. And the inner part of the triangle of the families is going to collapse. So what is the Keystone? And what nation dominates all others? What nation has influence over most others? What is the Keystone? Now, that right there, that what nation dominates all others, at this point, I think there's maybe 3 possibilities. Maybe. The United States, definitely. Russia and China, no. I mean, China, maybe. But I'd say the other 2 are probably Israel or the UK, the Crown. But I'd say out of the 3, I'd lean Israel. Probably that's what I'm saying, and that's why it's for that reason. When you don't really know what the problem is, you realize there is a problem, but there's just no way that you understand the full scope of it. Trying to take it in pieces and try to understand the big picture here. But this is why you can't be like, I would say pro-Israel. I would say Israel first. You definitely can't be Israel first, but I would say that you can't even be pro-Israel. I mean, if you're pro-Israel, you're going to have to give that up. Because if you're pro-United States, MAGA, and that's who you are, then what would you ever do if you have to split your loyalty? If you got to do something that's good for Israel but just happens to be bad for the United States and its people, like what happens then? Like, which would you choose? If you would choose the Israel policy, then I'd say that you're not MAGA. You shouldn't be watching these, and that's just foolish. So I don't have a giant problem with it, but this is kind of the issue I have with a couple people who are kind of like talking about the similar topics. They seem very pro-Israel, and that makes me question their views. America first, man. That's it. That's the only thing. Like I said, I don't see anybody walking around going, I'm pro-Brazil. We don't have a pro-Brazil political undercurrent in this country. I don't know. I want to introduce you to this site. If you haven't seen this before, this is Whatfinger. It's kind of a funny name, whatfinger.com. But it has some pretty good headlines on it. It's similar to the Drudge Report. If you've already found that too, then this might be a good place to check out. So it says, so check this out. So the headline here is Trump takes a swipe at his DOJ over illegal immigrant licenses case in Arizona. That sounds like Trump cracking the whip. Here he is on Twitter saying the Department of Justice should have urged the Supreme Court to at least hear the driver's license case on illegal immigrants in Arizona. I agree with Lou Dobbs. Should have sought review. Now, you might think like, oh, well, driver's license for illegal immigrants, who cares? Or you might be like, well, I don't like that at all because that gives them, like some kind of government consent to be here because you're giving them something they shouldn't have. And then the government's doing it. So it's like, you could be in one of those camps. But in California, and it's like this in other places, if you sign up for a driver's license, all you gotta do is check a box that says, I'm a citizen. And they'll send you a ballot. And they don't even check it, even though they got like your social security number and stuff. They could easily do this. But they don't. They just like, if you check the box, it's your word. And then this way, they just put the culpability on individual illegal immigrants, to maintain and police voting restrictions. And so that's just another thing. It's like it's not even a slippery slope. It's like having a giant boulder on top of a hill with a point on the top of it. It's just barely balanced there. And as soon as you push it over, that thing's going to smash whatever's in front of it, including the village at the bottom of the mountain or the bottom of the hill. So you're seeing all kinds of odd stuff happen once you give out driver's licenses to people that that really just shouldn't have them. Like this. This is unbelievable. I studied I studied the U.S. government in school, and like in fourth grade we cover this. Like you have to be a citizen of the United States to hold public office in the United States. Otherwise, you shouldn't even be here. We used to deport people. And I know that we're deporting criminals now, but it's to the point now where we don't even want to do that. So California declared sanctuary state status, and there's pushback, okay? There's a bunch of cities and counties now that are saying, I don't want to be part of that. So they're challenging states' rights at the local level when the state challenged the feds. So it's just this bad whatever. Anyway, this California just appointed an illegal immigrant to a state post. Elizabeth Mateo, who's an illegal immigrant, is a member of the California Student Opportunity and Access Program Grant Advisory Committee, just one day after President Donald Trump visited the state to view a prototype of the border wall. So it looks like it's kind of like a double, maybe FU. She was appointed, not elected. Right? So this is a political stunt, really is an FU. And it's, they always go after the young people. They always go after the students or the, got to get those heartstrings. We need to educate fine young people at $85,000 in debt when they're done. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, it's not a slippery slope, okay? That's a bad analogy. It's a boulder on top of a pointed hill. So, this is What Finger, okay? Check it out sometime. It's a good place to go. I'll leave you with that. I hope you got something out of this. This is Bill Smith. Thanks for watching.